So here I was, minding my own business, when I thought, hey, you know video games? I don't play many of those. Like seriously, I have some games I keep going back to, but often when I try a new game, I end up just finding it kind of impossible to get into. I have a very particular taste, what can I say? I tried playing Breath of the Wild, and I can tell it's a mighty fine game, but it just couldn't engage me. I'm a storyteller. I need a motive to keep going outside the vague goal of defeat the Ganon cloud eventually, perhaps. This has plagued many games for me over the years, so I thought it'd be interesting to shed light on the games that avoided this plague to me. Real quick though, I just want to give a shout out to Deltarune, far and beyond one of my favorite video games of all time already. But like, this game is far from complete, and the story, as is, just doesn't have a satisfying conclusion. There's still so much we don't know. But if the rest of the game is on the same level of quality as these first two chapters, this could become my absolute favorite video game of all time. You can get the first two chapters for free, so definitely give it a shot if you can. Seriously, it has some of the funniest, sharpest writing in any game. The story is already ludicrously intriguing with a lot of subtlety and nuance, and the characters are all really good, and oh, it's great. It's a great one. Oh yeah, and Undertale's really great too, but it just didn't make the list. Sorry. Alright, without further ado, let's start off with number 10.
Okay, here we go. Focus. Speed. I am speed.
Kicking us off is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, simply because there is no other game I play just for fun quite as much as this one. Now, I've played a few other Mario Kart games. I have a soft spot for Wii, and I think that game actually is my favorite, like, presentation and vibe of any Mario Kart. But this game has the sheer volume. The amount of tracks here was already insane, but then the cheap DLC doubled the overall amount. $20 to make the game twice as big. That is the best deal Nintendo has ever offered. There's so many kart options, so many characters, even if I already, I literally just play as Toad, so. There's a ton of options to optimize your gameplay, mostly super smooth online, a great battle mode. Yeah, it's pretty deserving of being the best-selling game on the Nintendo Switch. Mario Kart 9 sure does have a lot to live up to if it ever happens.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
So let me ask you this. What is the first video game you remember playing? For me, it goes all the way back to a childhood Christmas, when under the tree I discovered a shiny new fangled PlayStation 3, and with it, a copy of LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga. This game is here purely because I have very fond nostalgic memories of it, but at the same time it is a really great game, with tons of fun levels and puzzles and great boss fights and scarily accurate Star Wars locations being recreated here. Like, wow. Well, it is a bit unpolished. Everything about it is just so charming. Except the vehicle levels, those mostly kind of blow, except the one where you attack the second Death Star. I really do owe this game a ton for making me really fall in love with Star Wars. A love that is never faded. Like, dog, it's kind of my favorite thing. But still, it's a fantastic thing that everyone needs to try at some point if given the chance. Yeah. Okay, so there are not many smaller indie games on this list. As mentioned, Deltarune is excluded via technicality. So what did I end up including? Well, OneShot. This game is absolutely brilliant, man. A super investing adventure where you, the player, forge a friendship with the protagonist character you control. The story is inventive, the world is super cool, the gameplay and puzzles are all slick, characters are fun, the pixel graphics are far and beyond my favorite in any game. But what really makes this game stand out? Nico. Nico is the single best protagonist I've ever seen in a video game, and it really isn't even close. This ranking is for you, buddy. I chose you. Plus, the game has a lot of really creative, self-aware things that I can't really spoil, and hey, there's a Switch port, go play it, wow!
Now, you probably want to look stylish and sexy.
Okay, so LEGO Star Wars was the first game I ever played. It gets the nostalgia points, but LittleBigPlanet was the first game I ever fell in love with. I adored everything about this game, and I still kinda do. Well, okay, I do think its follow-up, LittleBigPlanet 2, improved on literally everything and is much better, and as such, we will be talking about it pretty soon. But this game still deserves credit for the charm factory that it is. The story is paper thin, but the levels and locations you visit are so dense, so lovingly crafted and fun that you kind of have to forgive it. There's some super tricky challenges in this thing too, especially near the end where you break into the villain's base. And that isn't even touching on how ambitious and cool creative mode was. The tools this game gave you to create some genuinely amazing stuff. The online community was so incredible back in the day. There were so many inventive levels that outdid the story mode, which was already excellent. It fills me with such a deep sadness that the online servers were hacked and how such a special community was lost. Thanks for ruining it for everybody! But still, the memories I have aren't going anywhere, and that's pretty nice. I made a bunch of levels in this game too. Maybe one day, I can show them off. No, I'm not doing that. Super Mario Odyssey is Mario's biggest and most inventive game to date. There's not a single dull moment in this game's main story, with every new area, every beat in the relatively simple plot being just so exciting. The game never stops surprising you with fun concepts, fun challenges, and inspired mechanics. Like, let me tell ya, the capture mechanic. This thing is, well, inspired. Being able to play as so many different enemies, all of which have their own unique controls, it alone propels this game into a legendary status. The bosses are really great too, and the music slaps. And while the end game isn't my favorite in a Mario game, it's a very close second place, with an exhilarating final boss and an incredible ending sequence where you do something really neat that I will not spoil. It's a fantastic game and most people know it. Good luck to the next 3D Mario because topping this bad boy will be a feat.
And here we are.
Kirby is one of my favorite Nintendo franchises ever, despite not really playing too many of the games. There's just something about its world, its lore, its villains I find so cool. And Kirby in the Forgotten Land is Kirby acting at peak condition, delivering an intriguing story, killer boss battles, the best endgame and final boss that the Switch era has to offer. But really, it's the level design that really propels this game. There is not a single bad level in this entire game. They're all, at worst, good, with some super intriguing locations. The Winter World is especially gorgeous. The music is stellar, DDD is cool again. This game is a miracle and the perfect first 3D game for the pink buff ball. Because this game is like actually perfect, I don't really have an issue with it. Please, let me have a sequel, Nintendo, please. Also, Meta Knight appears and he's my favorite character. Oh yeah, and it might have the best post-game Nintendo has ever done. Like, you beat the final boss and you're satisfied. Wow, what a perfectly length adventure. Guess I'll move on to something else. Oh wait, what's that? Boom. Whole new world with some of the best challenges the game has to offer, as well as an interesting bonus final boss with lore implications. It's, wow. Y'all, this was a great one. This is like almost my favorite Switch game, but we'll get to what's better.
Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky like shooting stars?
Super Mario Galaxy. Good lord, where do I begin? The incredible level design with so many creative themes and challenges, the sense of awe and euphoria that it gives me every time I play, the stellar boss fights, the single best score I have ever heard in a video game. There's something undeniably special about Mario Galaxy. Bowser has never been as threatening as he is in this game, and the final boss fight with him is the best Bowser with battle that ever happened. Mario and Bowser's rivalry peaked here. On top of this probably is my favorite story of any mainline Mario, with higher stakes, which is nice, but also a sense of adventure that no other Mario really has. Plus, Rosalina is the single most interesting character in the entire franchise. Yeah, she's also hot, like, okay, hi, but she also has a legitimately super interesting backstory, and her relationship with the Lumas gets recontextualized in interesting ways as you go on. I really don't have any complaints with this one. If you surgically remove those stupid purple coin missions that I never play, it's a perfect game. Oh, and before anyone asks, yeah, Galaxy 2 is also really good, but it doesn't do much to separate itself from the first. The story is far weaker, and the lack of a hub world hurts, even if the world map is cool. I don't know why, but I really, like, there's no logical reason, but I love this world map. Like, it's not as cool as the hub world, but, like, it's just really satisfying. Anyway, make Mario Galaxy 3, Nintendo, please. I beg you, please.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
Holy freaking moly, LittleBigPlanet 2 is a flawless game that never tires me. I mean, everything ties together. There is not a single dull moment in this thing, not a single bad level, not a single new gimmick that isn't at least a little fun. Perfectly challenging and perfectly paced with some of the most enchanting level themes I've seen in any game. With my personal favorite soundtrack I have ever heard in a video game, I am dead serious. Plus, the story is really inventive and fun with some really memorable characters. Clive Handforth is my favorite by a mile. This dude would legit be in my top 15 characters of all time. He is so funny. And speaking of my favorite things in this game, my favorite world is definitely the Factory of Better Tomorrow. Just fantastic the whole way through, with some of the best levels I've ever played in a platformer. And the bosses really slap, and the villain is intimidating, and Avalon is also pretty epic. And there's a level where you climb a big robot, and a level where you shoot cakes at monsters, and a level where you climb a tree by riding caterpillars. One of the major boss fights is a thrilling chase where you run from your life from a giant turkey. Do I need to explain why this is peak fiction? But that's just mentioning the story mode. Let me enlighten you to the untouched level of peak that is LittleBigPlanet 2 Create Mode. If LittleBigPlanet 1 had tools that allowed for levels that would occasionally exceed the quality of the story level, LittleBigPlanet 2 has the tools for entirely new games. People made RPGs, full-length 2D platformers, first-person shooters. So many incredible stories were told. I think the LittleBigPlanet 2 era was the untouched crispiness of the community, where we had consistently incredible levels from a variety of incredible creators. Anyway, in case you're wondering, yeah, I also really like LittleBigPlanet 3. It's just really glitchy, and the story is a lot weaker than this game. Still some cool themes and levels, but the creativity is kind of gone with compared to the untouched glory of 2. Ironic. Still, it's a great game in its own right, and Newt and Marlin Random get points for being my favorite characters. Good for them. I really want to see a 4th installment come out and revamp the community, bringing it back to life, but who knows if that's even possible. A man can dream, though. A man can dream. I am so excited for the upcoming remake of Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, because I've heard it's an amazing game, and frankly, I believe it. Because if Super Paper Mario is anything to go off, it could very well be my favorite game of all time. Because Super Paper Mario absolutely held that spot for a long time. While it has been dethroned by another champion, I still think this game has the absolute best story I have ever experienced in a video game. Maybe not objectively, but it perfectly fits all my tastes. It's zany and super funny, and often super silly, while also being deceptively clever and explicitly dark and tragic. There are moments in this game that are so jaw-dropping that I had to leave the game without saving, just so I could play it again, all while having a super unique blend of 2D platformer elements with RPG-style leveling and whatnot. It's an interesting combo that I had a blast with, creating an experience unlike anything else I've ever played. The score is incredibly unique and enhances an already perfect atmosphere. The bosses are intimidating. The unique art style is fantastic. Dementio is my favorite villain in fiction, and Count Bleck really isn't too far behind him. You battle a basement-dwelling alpha male gamer at one point. You cry during the most emotionally gut-wrenching climax I've ever experienced in a game ever. It's a freaking Mario game on top of all this, by the way. The funny wahoo plumber boy. Safe to say, very few games mean quite as much to me as this one, and in my eyes, it is the most overlooked and underrated game I've ever played. Bonus 50 points for the inclusion of squirps. Anyway, now we move on to the grand champion, the only 3 games that can top it. Let me explain. And so the 3-way tie for my favorite game of all time goes to Pikmin 3, Pikmin 4, and Pikmin 2. I really couldn't choose. I mean, okay, I could choose, but like I didn't want to waste 3 slots with it. And okay, given how much I talk about Pikmin on this channel, this really shouldn't be too surprising. I adore just about everything this series has to offer, from its incredibly fun and investing gameplay, to its lovely cast of characters, to its fantastic world building and lore, the subtle witty humor, the amazing creature designs, the incredible music, the Pikmin themselves and how dang adorable they are, the burrowing Snaggerit, the boss battles, the caves, the sense of adventure, the burrowing, Snagrit. It really is just one of the most unique experiences I've ever had with a video game. Pikmin 3 is probably my favorite game of all time. The Switch version specifically, it has a ton of content. With difficulty options that add a lot of value to the game, hard mode is my go-to. The story is investing, and the Kopites are honestly my favorite protagonist in the series. Love Olimar too, but he was barely allowed to talk in the first 2 games. So while the story is investing, I don't feel like I got to know him as a person very well, or the Kopites dynamic comes through super well. Brittany's the best one, really cannot get enough of her feisty attitude. Plus, it has my favorite final boss in any video game ever. Mission mode is a ton of fun too, with some super inventive stages in there and some shockingly tricky challenges. And Bingo Battle, best multiplayer experience in Pikmin, period. Pikmin 4 is incredible too. I have a few issues with it, but man, it's so jam-packed with content. The side modes are now integrated to the main story, which makes playing them extra rewarding because it gets you a better ending. The story has never been so layered too, with so many plot points and things going on. Feels like the biggest Pikmin game ever in terms of scope, and the castaways you rescue are all very charming. Dalmo's my favorite. He's adorable. The new style of caves is fantastic as well, with it being super fun to clear each and every sub-level of its treasure. The game's easy difficulty can be a little frustrating at times. Like, dude, we should really just have the dang difficulty options from 3 here, come on. But it's also just really satisfying how effectively you can get things done. Also, Louie gets to step up as the game's main villain, and I am so glad that they did him so right here. He's finally acting as he always should have. And they even flesh out his character in a lot of intriguing ways. This is how you write Louie. My one issue with Pikmin 3 is that they really blandified him. And the ending credits with that music, yes, Pikmin 4, you are the good one. Pikmin 2 is a game I've only recently been able to play thanks to the Switch port, and I gotta say, yeah, I love it too. Refreshingly difficult. I admit I haven't had any tragedies that are too big. I'm a pretty smart player.
This was before I went in the Cavern of Chaos and I fought that crab thing, and that was really bad. That was rough.
I beat the man at legs without losing a single Pikmin on my first try, though. It's a very fun game to kind of slowly work your way through, which is pretty unique compared to the others. A slow-paced Pikmin game, who would have guessed? And yes, while this game does easily have the weakest story in the entire series, it makes up for it for having the funniest emails I have ever read. The President's little subplot through the first half of the game is astounding and wonderful, and I look forward to finishing it up.
Okay, I will go. Hey, wait a minute.
Oh yeah, I played Pikmin 1. I don't really like it that much, sorry. It's just way too janky, where the point it ceases to be fun and kind of just becomes a slog that solving puzzles with these Pikmin is kind of painful. It's my easy least favorite. I'm aware this is like blasphemy. Everyone acts like Pikmin 1 is like an untouchable masterpiece. Anyway, I guess I should talk about the Avatar reboot, huh? What could possibly go wrong? It's surely not that big a thing. I wrote down 53 unique topics to discuss for it. Help me. Help me, please.